right. Welcome back to another episode of Friends from Work. Today we have a very special surprise episode. So I am introducing this episode, but I have absolutely no idea what we're about to talk about. In fact, Robby told me, just title the session This or That. That's what I know, but it's going to be a fun episode. Robby's bringing the heat today.
I'm excited about this. Okay, so for context, as I've been going through this rewatch slowly, I'm struck more and more by how hard it is to keep a through line in the same way that we did in the original rewatch, and that's not even a fault of the like lack of a through line thing that we talked about post Endgame. It's more just like there are so many hours of content that it's becoming like harder to even remember the project that you watched before the one that you're on, because now it's like I watched 3 episodes of Moon Knight and then I take a break and I come back and I'm like, oh yeah, I watched Eternals before Moon Knight, but you kind of lose track of all of the hooks in the same way that you did. And so I'm always kind of thinking about these different sort of through lines that you could follow if you go like character specific.
Yeah, right.
And then I started thinking like there are certain plots that you can follow if you zero in on certain characters, but then you lose certain things, right? Like you could only watch like the movies with Tony and kind of get like that perspective, which would probably be like the best option if you were to pick just one character. But you would lose like Winter Soldier, you would lose Guardians, you would lose Ragnarok, which are pretty pivotal movies. And so I think like whenever it comes to those, like Tony and Cap, like I think that stuff is kind of hard, and it just becomes a matter of like, really, do you want the first Iron Man or do you want Winter Soldier, right? Like when you're dealing with those kinds of like core characters. But then I was thinking there are some characters where that's a lot harder of a call. And so I prepared a pop quiz for you.
Okay, wow.
I actually don't know how you're going to... I think I know how you're going to answer some of these. Maybe most of them, but not all of them. And I feel like you might surprise me.
Okay.
So
this is unbelievable.
I know.
You
normally,
did some preparation? Wow.
I was sitting like rocking the baby earlier, trying to think about what I wanted to talk about today if we got to record. And I didn't have my phone around me or anything else. And I didn't want to move like to risk waking her up. So I just was like thinking, and
it's a good spot to be.
That's where this came from. So,
yeah.
Okay.
It's where he does his best work right there.
Just staring at a spot on the ground for a long time.
That's right.
So yeah,
it is amazing how much I'm on my phone. And so if you ever force yourself to not be on your phone, it is amazing. Like we have to get back to being okay with being bored again. I am so preconditioned to, even if I have 2 seconds, I'm playing a video game with my friends, I die, and it's like, oh, quick, grab my phone. It's bad. It's bad. So yeah, staring at a spot in the ground is a good exercise. So
well, it's funny how like this all becomes like a, that's how I wind up there, is I have these like games that I play in my head whenever I'm bored and without my phone. Or it's like if I'm in court or something and there's someone else's case that got called ahead of mine, but I don't want to have my phone out because you're in the courtroom. So I'll just start thinking about like some like MCU question that
I love it.
That can factor into watch order or something.
Okay. All right. I'm ready. This is true spur of the moment for me. So I have no idea what you're about to ask me. You're going to get a genuine reaction. Let's do it.
I love it. Okay. So the rules here, just to be clear, the character has to appear in the film. The post-credit scene counts, but only if it's like for example, Nick Fury appears in Infinity War via the credit scene. I think that's fair. Mm-hmm. I don't think that like Cap, like Steve appears in Ant-Man via the credit scene. Mm. You know what I mean? Because that
doesn't count.
Well, because it's just like a shot of an existing scene from Civil War.
What about like Cap in Spider-Man Homecoming, the patience thing? That counts or doesn't count? Because it's kind of like just a...
That's tricky.
I don't even know what you're going to ask me. I guess I don't understand the context, but that feels like it shouldn't count.
Yeah, I think that's one where like technically it probably would count in that Chris Evans, like,
it is new content.
Right. But I think it would go against the spirit of the game if it counted. Because it's not
Mm-hmm.
something that you would watch. Like, I think one way to think about it is like if you're tracing a character's story, you wouldn't watch Homecoming tracing Steve Rogers' story.
That's right.
Like that feels like it's like a cameo in that sense. Okay. That said, if you have any other questions as we get into it, we can obviously talk it out because there may be somewhere there are like more blurry things, but
just say it. I still don't even know what it is. Go.
Well, we have five different choices here.
Okay.
Right. So this may go really fast or it may spin out and go forever. Okay. The first one, Wong or Coulson?
Okay. So I have to choose favorite character or every movie that those characters are in, which bundle of movies do I like more?
Yeah, those are the ones that you think of it more as like those are the ones that you get to keep. Like it's
the movies, not the character.
The movies. Though. The character doesn't like actually like the character doesn't matter. Like the character only matters insofar as the appearances that they have.
So Doctor Strange. So this is partially a quiz too, because Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. Obviously, Infinity War. No Endgame. No, he is an Endgame. Endgame. Yeah.
She-Hulk.
He makes an appearance in Spider-Man 2, the video game. Do you remember that, by the way? There's a note from Wong
that's right.
in the game. Which is kind of fun. Okay, versus
and Shang-Chi.
The early in Shang-Chi versus the early stuff.
Which on the one hand, it's like, you get Infinity War and Endgame, but you don't get Iron Man.
Okay. I love the thought.
The Avengers.
To me, this is a no-brainer. This is Wong. This is Wong for me. Just because you get those two bangers and the low points of this chunk, Multiverse of Madness, Shang-Chi, She-Hulk, I prefer over Thor 1 for Coulson.
Yeah, but you would surrender
Captain Marvel,
Iron Man, and the Avengers that quickly?
Well, I mean, that's just my answer to this first question.
No, it's fair.
If it means Infinity War and Endgame, then yeah, I would. I think.
Okay. Good answer.
What about you?
I think I would probably do. I would probably do the same, but for me it would be a tougher call just because. Like, yeah, I could take or leave Thor, but even Iron Man 2, we've talked about there's some kind of fun in that you.
Oh, for sure.
I think losing the first Avengers would be the toughest loss for me.
Iron Man 2 always and forever represents this golden age weird feeling I get when it's on.
Yeah.
Like I'm watching it going, yeah, it's getting dated. I get it. We're like, 16 years old, 15 years old, something like that. I realize that it's
old, right? Oh, no, Iron Man 2. Sorry. Yeah, 2. 16 years old.
Right, 2. That's what I mean. Like 2. Yeah. There's something about it, though, that it's just the ultimate. It's probably my favorite on in the background movie of all of them. I don't get it.
Again, there are a lot of great Tony moments in that. And so I think if that's a character that you like, even if a lot of the stuff that's going on around it, you could take or leave. Like, I think just the Tony and Hammer stuff in that is enough fun that it kind of holds everything else up.
Oh, it's so awful.
What's the difference, though? The truth? Okay, right. Next one. Thor or Spider-Man?
Oh, man, they're both in so many. So that's going to have to almost be a gut reaction because it would take me a long time to list them all. I want to say Spider-Man. My gut tells me Spider-Man right off the bat.
Wow.
What's weird for me is as a character, if that was the competition, I think I care more about Thor, even though that's so blasphemous. Spider-Man's like the A-team, the number one character. Love Spider-Man with all my heart. I think for me, because my investment is strictly within the MCU and not the animated series and all that stuff, I think I would choose Thor as a character.
I
guess
wonder also.
so either it's a good question, because either way you're getting Infinity War and Endgame, so that's a wash.
Right.
So Spider-Man, you gain Civil War, but you lose Avengers
And Age of Ultron.
and Age of Ultron, yeah,
And The Dark World, obviously.
right, and his first two movies. But yeah, you still gain 2 banger solo Spider-Man films too.
Yeah.
But
3.
Thor has had Spider-Man. I think No Way Home and Love and Thunder is the tipping point then. Because I was thinking, now past that, what have I gotten? And I don't think I'd want to lose No Way Home, I think.
Yeah, I think this is crazy because I am like the Spider-Man ride or die since I was 4, and part of this is because this is what I was going to ask you. I think it might be different if Tom Holland's Spider-Man was like the only Spider-Man content that we had gotten. But I think not that it devalues it, because all the I actually think that you can say of like any character or actor, like I think Holland has had the best run of MCU films, period. Like there are no low points.
Yeah, no holes. Yeah,
it's kind of crazy. Like even like Tony, or you can argue the like first Avenger for Steve, the first 2 Thor movies, the Guardians. Like you can say that you don't love Guardians 2, but like Spider-Man, like Far From Home would be the lowest point. And again, I don't think that that's a low point truly. Like, so it's kind of wild. It's not a low point in the same way like Iron Man 2 is.
Totally agree.
But I think I would go Thor from an MCU perspective, because I love I think it would be tough for me to lose the first 2 Avengers movies and Ragnarok. Like I think are just some of my like most kind of MCU feeling movies for me. Like the things like the way I want to feel when I'm watching a Marvel movie is how those movies make me feel. And I just watched Love and Thunder the other day and holds up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like I care more about, this is going to maybe sound blasphemous, I care more about seeing Thor in Doomsday than I do Spider-Man even being in Doomsday or Brand New Day. And I can't wait to see Brand New Day. But that's where I say, like, character-wise, I am really intrigued with what they do with him. So I would, if it was just like a ride or die as far as within the MCU, I'm choosing Thor as a character.
Yeah.
But when I think I'm sticking with Spider-Man for the movies.
Fair. Okay.
Just because there's no downers, like you said. All right, next.
Okay, here's what I'm loving so far. Both of those unintentionally sort of represent like an OG or like not more modern necessarily, but it's like a phase 1, phase 2 versus phase 3, phase 4 kind of orientation.
And I do think that is a realization I'm having in general. Mm-hmm. I do have nostalgia, as we just talked about, for Iron Man 2 and that whole era. Don't get me wrong. But I think I'm more up on some of the phase 3, 4, 5 stuff than most people are in general.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a lot of stuff I wouldn't want to lose on that side of it. Whereas, like, when you do a rewatch, for me, there are a few movies that I'd be okay with dropping early on, I guess. Yeah. Or, like, not watching again necessarily.
No, for sure. And I think
even though I love them all, but
right. Well, and part of the fun of the game is like, you get, it's hard for me because I probably enjoy watching like the Avengers over any one Spider-Man movie in terms of just the kind of like, again, it's such a nostalgia thing. But at the same time, there is no Spider-Man movie that gets anywhere close to like Thor 1 or Thor 2.
Yeah, right.
So it is tough. And that's the kind of fun of the, like, you have to take the good and the bad, I guess. Okay. Next one. And this is kind of different, I think. The split. Strange or Star-Lord?
Magic or Galaxy? So again, a wash on
Infinity War and Endgame.
Infinity War and Endgame, yeah. Guardians 1, I wouldn't want to lose over Doctor Strange 1. But I'd probably rather Multiverse of Madness than Guardians 2. I have never rewatched Guardians 3, a movie that I really enjoyed. I've literally never gotten back to it, which is crazy. I just don't have a massive desire to get there. I will on this journey.
Yeah.
So that's a telling sign. This is a tricky one because I don't think either are like my like there's less crossover on some of the other films, right? Like they're both not in Civil War, they're not in Ragnarok, they're not so like some of the other banger movies, they're not in Thunderbolts, they're not in Fantastic Four. Some of the other like top 10s for me, they're not included. So then it is just more isolated. You're choosing, would you rather Guardians 1, 2, and 3 or Multiverse of Madness? I guess I'm gonna say, holy cow, this is a hard one. This is the hardest one. I'm gonna say Strange because No Way Home is the deal breaker for me. I would want to rewatch No Way Home,
and you get Ragnarok.
I get Ragnarok with. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, then no brainer. I was not thinking that one.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think what's hard for Guardians is it's just you get Guardians 1 and you don't get that otherwise. But at the same time, I say that's what's hard. I think a lot of people would say that like that's the best trilogy in the MCU. You know, I think a lot of people feel pretty strongly about that. So I think that it would be closer for other people. I don't think either of us fall into that camp, although I think we're both fans of all of them.
Both of those characters fit a similar bill for me too, where I really enjoy seeing them interact with others more than I need more stories of them isolated. There's something fun on the Strange side with him being an actual wizard, like this whole Earth as Wizards thing now, and seeing him interact with someone that's totally not magic based is kind of a fun thing, like Spider-Man. This doesn't make sense at all. And then with Star-Lord, they can do some fish out of water stuff because of the throwback to he hasn't been to Earth since 80 something. So there's some fun throwback things there too, but neither do I need, or like, am I desperately craving another solo film or something? But Star-Lord being in Doomsday would be really fun for me to see how he handles this all now.
Isn't he?
Don't ask me again. I never remember all this stuff. Don't check it.
Okay. Next, this is going to be, I think, another tougher one, just in that you're going to have to think about it, like what they've appeared in. But Peggy,
oh man,
versus MJ,
like Zendaya.
So Peggy,
so far, No Way Home has been my deciding factor on almost all three of them so far.
But you have to remember, MJ. So Ned, right, is technically an Infinity War and Endgame. MJ isn't. So you don't get Infinity War with Peggy, but you do get Endgame.
Okay. So Endgame for Peggy,
you
Cap
Winter
1
Soldier.
for Peggy, Winter Soldier for Peggy,
Age of
Multiverse of
Ultron.
Madness, if you count that.
Yeah. I think you do count that.
Age of Ultron. Okay. Does she make an appearance in the first Avengers at all?
I think it's just a flashback to, like, I don't think she does. I think you like hear her voice maybe in that scene where Fury's like recruiting Steve.
And MJ is just the three.
Yeah.
I choose Peggy, I think. I choose Peggy.
Wow. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right.
That is a hard one,
it's hard. It's hard. Especially for you, because I feel like you would probably rather any Spider-Man movie. Would you take the Spider-Man movies all over Winter Soldier, you think, in terms of just preference?
I would take the first and third one over. Winter Soldier, even just preference.
Okay.
Winter Soldier would be over Far From Home preference wise for me. You know, this a little bit reminds me of the best trilogy conversations we've had.
Right.
You know, like that's an ongoing thing. Actually, Tanner, one of our listeners and supporters here on Friends from Work Plus, posted this on social media a couple of days ago. Does Trevor Slattery actually have the best trilogy? Because it was Shang-Chi, Wonder Man, and
Iron Man 3, Shang-Chi,
Iron Man 3, yeah. And then someone also posted Yelena as one of the best trilogies if you count Hawkeye, Black Widow, and Thunderbolts now. So those are some interesting conversations too. I think I still always go Spider-Man 1, Captain America 2, Guardians 3, I think are, you know, like the famous trilogies, and then Iron Man 4 and Thor 5, probably, you know, kind of thing. Anyways.
Yeah, I think
Continue.
I think for me, before I get to the last one here, trilogy wise, the reason I'm still drawn to Cap is because of how much like MCU world building happens in Winter Soldier and Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if you had to pick one, that is the trilogy out of any trilogy that gives you the best snapshot of the MCU.
For sure.
You know, and so I
it's
think
way more the foundation than even Iron Man movies.
So I think that's where, like, in a lot of ways, that's what draws me back to those movies. I like, obviously, the first Avenger is sort of a different thing, but that's
and not even just that other Avengers are in Civil War. It's not even just that. It's also like it being based in S.H.I.E.L.D. feels like very home base, because that's, you know, that's also home base for Ant-Man.
Yeah,
it's home base. It's home base for quite a few things for a while. Nick Fury.
It's something where, I mean, if you think about it, like even, like Winter Soldier, not like Civil War or Infinity War in the amount of like crossover it has, but the fact that you have Steve and Natasha basically co-leading that, and then Fury plays a pretty massive role also, like of all of the stuff to that point, even other than Avengers movies, that's the first time you had something that felt like that was even possible. Like Iron Man 3, you get like one shot of Bruce in the post-credit scene, and that was fun at the time. But in the Captain America movies, they really do feel like you are, like it's the most, it feels like the comics to me, in that you can open it up and anybody can show up at any given time, because it's kind of this living universe. And that's a unique thing that I kind of, it's also something I think I miss out of the current stuff.
Before you say your last one, I just got to say this conversation reminds me of something Greg and I have talked about offline. I'm not spoiling anything here, but there's a chance that Matt Romkey, if our listeners remember him from the Direct podcast, is maybe going to hop on Friends from Work every once in a while to do a little episode or segment. And one of the things he wants to bring over from the Direct stuff is his ability to draft up different kinds of drafts for the MCU and rankings and lists and power rankings, all that stuff. And one of the things we thought would just straight up be fun that we've never done is taking all of the movies that ever been made in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So not the shows, but just the movies, and having a draft like it was a football team, but with me, you, Greg, Matt, and Neil maybe, or something. So there's 5 people. So everyone ends up with like a 6-team roster going through every film. And that would be interesting to see, the groups of 6 that every person got to choose, right? So like, okay, the first round, you know, Endgame probably goes, Infinity War probably goes to each, you know, separate person. But once you're in that middle tier, it'll be interesting to see what the preference of someone like Neil is for pick number 14. You know, like, are you going Doctor Strange, or are you going to go, you're going to go Black Panther 2? You know,
no, I do. I think that is so, like, that's one of the things that I like about this game is finding characters where Infinity War and Endgame don't necessarily factor in, just because I do think often, like, so many of the conversations about like the best
right
boil down to those movies.
Right. And if the rosters, if the Marvel Cinematic Universe only had 12 projects, then whoever got Infinity War Endgame would essentially rule everyone else out, because it's like you only have 3 people on your team and one of them's Infinity War, so everyone's going to choose that one. But if now that they're deep enough,
right,
you know, it's like, okay, yeah, you got Infinity War. Well, he has No Way Home and he has Civil War. So it's kind of almost a wash then, you know, like, and then like late round, I would feel like it's a huge steal to take Iron Man 2 in that last round where it's like, yeah, of all the bad movies, I'll take Iron Man 2 happily, you know?
Yeah.
Or whatever. Anyways, so that just reminds me of something we're going to do, I think, on this podcast at some point.
No,
the more challenging aspect is getting 5 people with different schedules scheduled at the same time. That's the hard challenge. Okay, last one.
Okay. I'm excited about this one. I think I know where you're going to go. But again, I think it's harder. Loki or Wanda?
Loki or Wanda? So now we're talking shows too.
We're talking shows too. And again, we get the first Avengers, all the Thor movies.
Oh, this is a really hard one. So again, Infinity War and Endgame are a wash. Okay, so on the Loki side, you get Loki season 1 and 2, but you get Ragnarok, you get Avengers. Those are kind of the draws there. On their team, I got Age of Ultron, and I get WandaVision.
And Civil War.
Multiverse of Madness. Oh, Civil War. Is that going to be the deciding factor? Okay, so before you said Civil War, I'm thinking Loki is the winner. But now Civil War, Civil War and Ragnarok are a wash to me. So Infinity War Endgame wash, Ragnarok, Civil War, a wash. I'll say Loki season 2 and WandaVision a wash, even though I think I prefer WandaVision. So I'm going to, maybe both shows are a wash. Loki 1 and 2 washes with WandaVision. So now you're down to Ultron versus First Avengers, almost honestly a wash just because of preference, which is crazy. Yeah. So then you're left with like Dark World versus Multiverse of Madness. Oh gosh, I guess I go. Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is the hardest one. I'm like nervous.
This is the finale.
I know. I'm nervous to say the wrong answer. That's why I'm buying my time here. Okay, I'm going to go. This is crazy. I'm going to go Loki, I think.
Wow.
I
love that.
That's crazy. I like Wanda more as a character.
Sure.
But I think I said wash. I think Avengers 1 is still probably more nostalgic for me than Age of Ultron, even though, it's fun to watch them all operating. So I think slight edge there. And it's so weird, but Multiverse of Madness is a better movie than Dark World, no doubt.
Right.
But I don't love what they did to Wanda's character. I still don't love that about her character. And so, and then Dark World is such a bad movie, but it's such a funny watch again. Like I don't hate it being on in the background.
Dark World.
Yeah. Dark World.
Yeah.
So I think like in that, even though Multiverse of Madness is a better movie, I think I'd lean Dark World there, maybe.
Yeah. I think that's right. Because I was just like, again, looking at like the story that's told, I actually think that there's a pretty good case to be made for like even with Thor and Thor 2 being rough, like the Loki story across the MCU is pretty great because you do get the Avengers, you get like Thor 2, which we enjoy for what it is. But then, like starting at Ragnarok, you then kind of like like Ragnarok to Infinity War to Endgame to Loki is like, that's a wild run.
We probably don't talk about his character arc enough on this show. We did during his show, obviously.
Right.
But it is pretty special. He starts as the villain of the first movie. Like when they're making the first team up movie, basically in history, they chose to have Loki Thor's brother, who's just been kind of like this mischievous brother in the first one.
Who I thought was like a terrible villain in the first one at the time, like before the Avengers came out.
Yeah.
He
didn't do a great job.
Right.
But he crushes it. He
Yeah.
crushes it in Avengers. And right away that starts this interesting dynamic of him with his brother and the tension afterward, like him going to prison, but then his brother needing to break him out of prison. And
right.
And then you get the Ragnarok stuff where at this point Thor is just kind of tired of his BS. So now he's reluctantly, like, I wish it had been different, but this is how you're always going to be. He doesn't get tricked as easily by him.
Well, and I should say, we talked about Dark World being, Dark World, but if there's any character that shines in that one, it's Loki. Like, he has great scenes in that movie.
But he does. I do feel like Ragnarok, now I'm thinking about this, Ragnarok, by the end of Ragnarok, that is kind of the turning point for him, kind of, where he realizes this is dumb. Like the way he's even acting on Sakaar, I think, by the time he's done, I think he realizes this is immature and even trying to gain power here is pointless. Because he does come back with the ship, and that's when he's there actually for the hug at the end. He's by, and then he does try to help Thor defeat Thanos unsuccessfully, obviously, but he has kind of like, he's not running anymore at that point. And then obviously all the post Endgame stuff with Loki and the series kind of turning him into this hero, essentially. It's a pretty cool.
It is. I think
pretty cool story.
It's also, it's funny because like going against Wanda, but also against Thor, like I think we often talk about how those arcs like are just those characters getting beaten down and then kind of rising again, which is always fun or like inspiring as a fan. But I think that, like, to your point, the Loki arc is pretty unique too. Like it isn't that. It isn't like, oh, how much can you take from this person and him continue to redefine. It's like he kind of chooses to reorient himself in Ragnarok. And then like what I loved, because I'm halfway through Loki now, it's maybe been the best experience I've had watching anything so far post Endgame. Like I like Loki season 1 a lot. I always said that season 2 was a huge step up. I still think it is, but it's not like I'm like the biggest fan ever of Loki. But I just think that like it works. Like of all the stuff that we've gotten post Endgame, it feels like the thing that you should watch as the follow-up, in that like it is taking this like kind of core plot point of the Avengers, of the time travel element, and carrying that forward. And then it actually feels like a sequel to what we saw in Endgame. But it also does such a great job of like answering the question that you and I had going into it, which was like, okay, what is it going to look like now to have a Loki who hasn't had all the development of these last couple movies? Like, is it just going to feel like regressive? But then like, man, that first episode with Mobius walking him through all of that and like walking him through each of the kind of key scenes from those movies, and then basically saying like, why are you content? Like, you have so much range. Why are you content to just like be the villain guy, to just rule? And Loki like brushes it off and is like, how dare you question me? But then winds up like trying to escape and is back in the time theater, and then sees his own future like going through the rest of the tape, and then hears Thor basically tell him the same thing that Mobius just said. And it's like a really nuanced thing. Like I think like it feels like he as a character has a lot of agency, and there's some like growth there and understanding, and it like zigzags some because he's Loki. But yeah, I do like, it makes me curious to see like where he winds up on the other side of Doomsday and Secret Wars, because they've taken a character that I think could have been either like just a one-note character or just like kind of driven into the ground, and reinvented him while also doing the really impressive thing of making it all feel coherent and consistent. And yeah, I think it's like a really, it is a, I think maybe Greg mentioned this to me at one point too, during like Loki season 2. But you can make an argument for that being one of the stronger arcs in the whole shebang, I think.
I have so many things to say and respond to. I don't want this to go on forever. But so going way back, you talked about Thor and Wanda being these all-powerful characters that you have to kind of beat down so that they can rise again. And that's the trajectory.
Right.
That got me thinking. It is fascinating how, one, Loki's never really been that. In some ways, he's always been the stepchild, literally what he is. Like, he always wants to have this glorious purpose, but it's always kind of cast aside. And it's like he keeps trying to find different ways to fulfill that, even all the way up to, well, maybe if it's I can rule Sakaar, then at least I'll have some power here. But like, the whole point of the first Thor is that he's kind of just an afterthought of sorts. And so then even when he becomes like the main villain, even then he's kind of insecure that he's not a good enough villain. Like when he does talk to Thanos, it's like, oh, obviously that's the real bad guy. I'm just trying to do my thing over here. There's still an insecurity there. What an unbelievable way to handle the 2 seasons of the show that they literally, I think they call that song, or they call the first episode Glorious Purpose, and then by the end the last song of season 2 is Purpose is Glorious. And that he meets another version of himself that goes out going glorious purpose in actually a sacrificial act, and that being something so eye-opening for him that we are capable of a purpose that's more actual glorious than ruling over some people. And for him to actually accept that by the end and lay down himself, essentially going, I'll be tasked with sitting here forever so that other people can thrive
out of the game.
Right. So that other people can thrive. I can never really advance beyond this. It's really special. I have chills right now just thinking about
it is
how
like, even Lamentus, I was thinking about watching it. And some of this like is all in retrospect. And this is one of the first times I think I've watched all of season 1 since season 2 was out. Like I think I've like watched bits and pieces to like put some like rewatch things together. But I remember one of the things that you and I talked about at the time when the show was airing was like, he's so goofy on the train. He like blows the whole thing because he like has to get drunk and like was that Loki, like would he be that like unserious? But then I realized like he is operating out of this very like nihilist place where he's just found out that his life amounts to nothing, and that he's basically like best case going to be working for this agency. Worst case, they're going to prune him. And he doesn't like, the reason why he's doing that is not because he's too dumb to know that he's going to like mess up the mission. It's that like, he doesn't actually care really if he gets destroyed, because he already is like everything. He's already lost everything that he thought mattered in terms of being able to climb. Whereas like Sylvie still has some goals, and that even if it's just like driven by vengeance, she wants to like take down the TVA. And by the time you get to the finale, that's where a lot of the debate between Loki and Sylvie comes in, is like based on what he's now experienced in episode 5 with like the classic Loki. He's now coming from a different perspective of like, he doesn't want to just burn it all down in the way that he would have been willing to earlier. And he also doesn't want to do like the thing he did in Ragnarok, where he just kind of like goofs off because nothing really matters. Like I think that like even the moments in Loki season 1 that are not my favorite moments or that don't work as well, I still think are kind of in service to that arc in an interesting way.
I've rewatched the Infinity Saga so many times that at this point it's fun and an enjoyable watch, but unless I'm showing someone who's never seen them before, it's basically a nostalgia play where I'm just watching a new movie. I don't glean a lot more information from it. Like when we started this podcast, that was part of the fun of it was, oh, maybe you missed this one thing about Steve's arc in the first Avenger. And on this new rewatch, if you frame your mind a certain way, you'll catch this. And I'm not trying to say like, oh, I know everything, but at this point I've gleaned almost everything I think that they want me to glean out of Iron Man 1. I've gleaned it, right? I've taken that feeling away. But that does get me really excited for phase 4, 5, and 6 because I haven't done that. And so like the stuff you're picking up now on Loki, I'm excited to get there because I like the second season I've watched one time and I'm sure with a different perspective, there are things I'll see differently. That's just the reality.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's right. And I have
I'm already really prepped to talk about WandaVision and then how it relates to Multiverse of Madness because we've talked about this in the podcast, but that's where I'm at in my rewatch. I just finished that and we just finished Falcon Winter Soldier. But like I was so in 2023, was it? So frustrated with how they handled Wanda in Multiverse of Madness. And every time I've gone back, you've been the one to be like, just kind of look for these clues. And the more I watch WandaVision, I'm like, oh man, it isn't that far of a left turn. Like on this last watch, I was like, wow, they don't just say it a couple times. It's leaned into a lot. I know that you feel for her, but she is doing a bad thing. Like nobody in the town wants what she's doing.
Like even Vision is like, this is wrong.
Yeah. Once she's confronted with it, she does apologize and that hurts her to realize what she's doing. But it's never as much of a no-brainer where it's like, again, there wasn't some big twist where all of a sudden now she's all good.
Yeah.
Yes, she's all powerful in the twist when she realizes she's Scarlet Witch, but I don't think she comes down in that new costume a perfect human being. You know? Even at the very end of the show, she kind of flees. It's not like she like faces judgment and apologizes to the government
or like
for what
does
she was
anything
doing
to try to help the people that are still there. Yeah.
Yep. And there's obviously all the lines we've talked about. The Darkhold corrupts all. You are destined to destroy the universe. You have no idea what you have you're dealing with. You have no idea. You're messing with stuff you don't understand. There's all kinds of stuff like that. It's not just, and then at the very end, she is messing with stuff she doesn't understand. She is like doing the chores while also reading the Darkhold, like a demonic book. Yeah. So, I've kind of eased up on that a little bit,
No, I mean, I think also it's kind of nice to like getting some more, I think going from, because I think it was 2022. So WandaVision was 21 and then Multiverse of Madness was like a year later. But I think that's one of the things I like about our watch order, spacing those out some, is you kind of, it's not as jarring tonally and you can kind of imagine that she spent that time just kind of like stewing in this stuff. And
I guess my larger point there is that's something I've gained only with a rewatch and time that I have yet to do with something like Guardians 3 or Loki season 2 or, whatever, name it. I haven't watched it that many times. So,
well, and I think like the other thought that I've had to kind of close it out since we were talking Wanda versus Loki, when I watch WandaVision and when I watch Loki, they are just so clearly like the crown jewels of the Disney Plus endeavors. Like it's just like, and I think that for the most part, when I go back and watch things, like even Miss Marvel, I think creeps up for me. Moon Knight is always better than I remember it, and I liked it. Like I think really, like again, I don't want to get into the whole Disney Plus show's good or bad thing.
But they're pretty good. That's the funny thing.
Yeah, no, but I think that like, hindsight's 2020. But in a world where like Bob Chapek was not pushing for like more content at any cost, I really think like those are the kinds of shows, both in the swings that they took, how like much they explored new genres, but kept with characters that we already cared about from the prior saga, while like introducing new elements. Like if you made those the kind of like blockbuster things, then like we said, you maybe pair that with like, and here's a Moon Knight that's a Spotlight series that comes out also, and like those are your things for a year. Like I really think like there's such strong, like though, like WandaVision and Loki are just some of the strongest things that they've done, period. And certainly
people forget
like,
that
Endgame.
It was nominated for like 13 Emmys or something.
Yeah, it's
which in the Disney Plus era is not common, especially for Marvel shows. Andor, I think, is probably the other one where they would say they got a bunch of nominations. But yeah, yep,
yeah.
But no, I agree. And yet, if you could perfectly draw it up, because now Brad Winderbaum, we have to go. But Brad Winderbaum's talking about how, you know, they don't want to kind of do that. They don't want to make the Disney Plus stuff appointment television that you have to watch. They want it to be seasonal things like Daredevil, you know, 4 seasons, 5 seasons. All that is great. But yeah, I would really miss that category. It's almost like I wish you could have done the 3 categories, which is WandaVision and Loki are so prestige. Like we're putting all our eggs in the basket, and maybe it's only every other year, one show every other year where they go, this is going to be week to week. You have to watch it if you're also caring about the movie storyline. Like it is that tied in. Here's why it's going to matter. Then you have the basket of Spotlight and or like a seasonal grounded thing like Daredevil or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, like it'd be a bummer to not get any more of those kinds of things, I think, because they were so freaking good.
Well, and like,
it's the only time I remember since 2020, the only time where for 8 weeks, everybody in the world was going, oh my gosh, what's going to happen on WandaVision, including my in-laws, including our Discord, just at the time Slack, just popping off like crazy. Everyone making YouTube videos on theories of what's going to happen. Like that's the only time it's happened.
Yeah. That's the bummer to me, is there's a bit of surrender in that, like it doesn't have to be appointment television. And I for the most part, I get that. And that's why I think you're right. There is a place for, like, we need a Daredevil show. Like that's where that character is going to do best, not in a movie. And I don't think that it ever makes sense to try to tie that into like an Avengers movie in a crucial way. So I think that like we need a place for a show that is not necessarily like you're following the MCU, you have to watch this. But it is like they did do that. They nailed that, like with WandaVision, and maybe to like a lesser extent in terms of, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next. But everyone that, like, I had so many people text me about Loki when season 1 was on. And I think the bummer is by the time season 2 came out.
That's right. That's what I was going to say. I think 2 is even better for the, oh my gosh, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But the moment had passed so much that less people were in general. Still, by the way, still way more than something like She-Hulk.
Right.
But less people than that WandaVision era. But again, WandaVision, you know, like you're saying, factors beyond their control, which is first thing since Endgame, or since Far From Home, but first thing since Endgame, first thing post-COVID, first thing on Disney Plus, you know, like we didn't even know what that was going to look like. So yeah.
I think to me, it's like the encouraging thing is we will likely get more from those characters. And I think that like there is, like I was listening to another interview the other day where they were talking about how it's this, you know, Steve Rogers and Thor and like all of the promos were kind of this like, you know, running it back thing. Marvel was trying to do something fresh and it didn't work, and they're going back to the tried and trues. And I think that what I think is happening is Marvel's recognizing that there is a way to do both, and that they in part because of COVID, that the like scales got off Moon Knight style, where it was like they like there's just no reason why it made sense to release like What If, Eternals, and Shang-Chi all in like a 2-month period and build them all as essential MCU things. Like
The What If one is killer because they were on stages going, no, you're gonna want to see this. This is like what the multiverse is. No, it wasn't. It's an animated show about some funny stories about a duck sleeping with a human. Like, that's not at all what it is.
Crucial.
Right.
Yeah.
But to your point, just don't say that then.
I know. And that's the thing. Like, that's not a dig on Eternals or Shang-Chi either. But I don't think it's like when you have people on the edge of their seat to see what's going to happen based on like these two properties, like WandaVision and Loki, and then instead of just kind of like, even if you just stuck to that and kept that momentum, but then it was like this, like I know so many people that went and saw Eternals because it's the new Marvel movie and you have to see it. And it's like, and then that's just like a lot of, I
have such simple fixes for all that stuff, man.
I know. And it's like, I think
the Moon Knight, call it Spotlight. That would help so much. What If, don't get up there and say we all have to watch it. If you do watch it, fun. And Eternals, say it's another universe and this is your first look at what it looks like to be in a different galaxy in this multiverse that we're trying to do. Boom. Yeah. Everyone's happy. Yep. Everyone's happy. It's a cool story, but you don't have to worry about why Tony Stark matters to this or that you used to be friends with Thor. You don't have to even throw those in there because it's a whole different thing where they're not there. And then you're building towards Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty or whatever it is, and the multiverse era has to end. What a perfect thing to have another thing, a level of investment in something else. Oh no, now the Eternals are in trouble too. It's just this Doctor Doom thing's affecting everybody. It's so perfect.
You're totally right. Yeah, it would take like 4 script tweaks.
And the funny thing is, you still could have done it if you didn't make Brave New World there. Like literally 6 months ago, you still could have done it.
I know.
You still could have said, look, that's a different Thor he's talking about. This is their Earth, 247, whatever. You could have done it. And I still wonder, could you do it and just say that what happened in Brave New World also didn't matter? Is that possible? Could you still say that was another Sam our Sam, is there some way still to get out of it? Because it's too perfect. It's too perfect. Oh, I mean, it was right there for the taking.
In a weird way. Oh man, what a like perfect.
If they had just consulted with friends from work.
I know.
Oh, we could have helped you.
I haven't thought about it that way. There's no way they would do that.
Isn't that what Jack Kirby even wanted originally?
Yeah. No, I mean, he like,
that was the OG.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't want it to connect like it. And it's just, I think that again, the impetus there, like Feige wanting to bring on Chloe Zhao and let her make whatever Marvel movie she wanted to make, I think is a really cool one.
And she did a good job. She did a good job.
If you're taking the approach that you're saying, like if you say like, because that also gives her more creative control. There's probably more stuff she could have done and not had to worry about if she could literally like.
I know that she had to like answer the question of, well, why didn't you jump in during Thanos' run? They had to say that in the movie.
Right.
And like, you could have just scrapped that entire thing if that's not what happened in their universe, Because
they didn't. The only connection that they really had was a
Thor joke. He hasn't called me back.
Well, like the leaders, like Tony and Cap.
Tony's
gone,
dead.
So who's
gonna be? Yeah, exactly. So it's like 5 lines, literally. 6,
and they don't
maybe?
They don't need the like blip to justify the population rising. Like it could just. I feel like the population would just get there. Like you don't have to. Like they only anchored it to the blip because they wanted to like. But yeah, I think like it is. You're right though, man. If they won't do it, but if they could find a way to make it so that both of those movies happened in like a different, very similar but not identical MCU, it would be such a mess. People would be so confused, and I would still prefer it.
It would be a little bit X-Men-ish, for sure. All right. Hey, thanks for the fun conversation. Look at you.
Yeah, this was fun,
Sometimes I can new thing.
Play host a little bit. I'm not as good as you, but I can try.
I
always
appreciate
learning
it,
new
man.
skills.
I appreciate it. All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting. We'll see you next time here on Friends from Work.